out of these distance measurements, anyone know? So I want to highlight in blue, I'm going to do that, the metric measurements. Anyone know? It is, yeah. They're the metric ones, aren't they? So we've got meters is our base one here. Okay. All right. Yeah, meters, we base things around that. So anything revolving around meters. So we've got kilometers. Anyone know how many meters in a kilometer? No? Is it a lot or not a lot? It's a lot, isn't it? Yeah. There are lots of meters in 1 kilometer. If I said to you, you could run 10 meters or 1 kilometer, which one would you choose? 10 meters, yeah? Because 1 kilometer. So does anyone remember how many kilometers, how many meters 1 kilometer would be? We did the conversions and things. No ideas? 1,000, that's it. There's 1,000 meters in a kilometer. So we've got meters, kilometers. What's this one? How do I say it? Millimeters. And this one is centimeters. So the ones I've got highlighted in blue, they are our metric ones. Now, we haven't done a lot of talking about metric and imperial yet because I'm just trying to get you to sort of start recognizing the difference. So then we've got these ones. Oh, wrong pen. The other ones are the imperial ones. Which ones do you guys use most often? The blue or the yellow? The blue? Okay. That's because they're easier to use. Oh, I think they are. All right, so we've got measurements for distance. The other one then, let's think about the measurement for time. What are possible measurements for time? How would I measure time? Go on. Hours. Should we go down from size? Do it in order this time. Hours, then minutes, seconds. No. Well, no, I think it's a good question. Yeah, we could say days, couldn't we? We go back up. We could also say weeks, months, years. Yeah. So, for instance, these are all measurements of time, aren't they? So we can say it took us 3 hours to drive to another city, but we can equally say it took us 2 days to fly to Australia. So that's all good. Do you think there are any metric and imperial measurements for time? Do you think we have different ways of doing it with time, or so with distance? Some people will use imperial. So when I grew up in the UK, I was always taught in inches, feet, and miles to start with, and then we basically changed to be more like Europe and do the metric ones in meters and kilometers and things. So actually, in the UK, it's quite confusing because I will see all my signs around on the roads in miles and miles per hour. Okay. But then I tend to do things in centimeters and millimeters when I'm measuring things. So I mix up in the UK. Okay. And here, what's the speed limit here again? It's 35, but what are the units of it? What are the units of that speed? 35 what?
Miles per hour.
Is it miles per hour? Is it kilometers per hour? I think it's actually kilometers per hour, but it could be a bit of a mix up. Again, we're a bit confused here in Bermuda what we use as well. Okay. But time, we all everywhere we have hours, minutes, seconds, days, week, don't we? No one has different things that get mixed up. So that at the moment we don't have any metric or imperial. We all kind of standardized our time. It wasn't like that a long time ago, but now we basically have the same hours, minutes, and things. All right. Okay, now if we were to consider these distance and time units, what would the units of speed be? Could we think of some units of speed? So what would you pick as the speed? So for instance, in Bermuda, we've just said that the speed limit would be 35 and it would be kilometers per hour. Now, when I'm in the UK and I'm on the motorway, the speed limit is 70, but it's miles per hour, or you might see that as mph, miles per hour. All right, so there would be 2 units. Are there any other units of speed that you've used before? So you can see kilometers per hour, I've used kilometers and hours. Miles per hour, I've used miles and hours. So what percent? Feet per second, yeah. So I think I heard that. Feet per second. That's what we did for the guy running, wasn't it? Feet per second, we did that one. Any others, guys, that you've heard of before? No? Well, what are our potential options then? Well, I've definitely seen when I'm doing science, meters per, another one for second. Okay. But a lot of these other ones, we don't tend to use them unless we go to really, really small things. Do you know what the speed of light is measured in? Well, again, that's not a speed, is it? That's a time. Sci-fi people in here. So we've got like, we can measure the speed of light in, say it again. Oh, well, that's a time thing again, isn't it? Yeah. So for instance, we will say a distance is 3 light years or something. Okay. And that's the time it takes light to travel, like however far it needs to travel. But the units of light we would still say as meters per second, I think, even something like that so quick. It's a really, really huge number, right? So we have things in science and it tends to be meters per second, and then we adjust our number. Do we normally use days, weeks, months or years as a speed? Do I say, oh, my speed is 55 miles a day? Could I say that? Yeah, I like that comment. We could, but we don't. Yeah. So we kind of have kilometers per hour, miles per hour, feet per second. I don't often see, but we could. Meters per second, that kind of thing. There's one that we didn't write up here, actually, that I've just thought. A measurement, which in imperial again is yards. Do you remember that one? So that's another, yards is another imperial one. All right, so we could do yards per second and stuff. Okay, next question then, because I don't want to go on too long. Right, What unit of speed is the most reasonable for the object I am calculating the speed for? So let me ask you, all right, if you are measuring the speed of a car, what would you put the units as? Miles per hour, kilometers per hour. Okay, yeah. Mixing up my miles per hour. Got to be difficult, careful with the miles because it could look like meters. What about the speed of our runner then? What units would be most appropriate? Again, that's not a speed, is it? Remember, a speed is a rate. So how much distance happens for how much time? So what's the speed of the runner going to be in? What did we do it in? Your homework. We did it in feet per second. All right. Another option, I would say meters per second, right, would be another option for our runner. Now, quick question, why would we use miles and hours and kilometers and hours for a car, but for a runner we would do feet and seconds or meters and seconds? Why do you think we've got the difference? What is it about the comparison between a car and a runner? Yeah. Yeah, the car's a lot quicker. We can still say a car is doing this many meters per second, but it's a big number. So what we do is we say, right, a car can do this many miles in this hour, right? So that's more interesting for us. But a runner, you know, is a lot slower than the car, isn't it? Okay. All right. So the next question finally is, how can I change the speed units into something more appropriate? So let me ask you this then. So we had our runner. So this guy, if you did your research, Kipchoge, he ran. What did you say? Approximately 21 feet per second. All right. Now I want to change his unit. Now, Alistair gave me an answer in miles per hour. Okay. Because then we can compare his speed to a car and see whether we think that's impressive or not. Because 21 feet per second, if that's what you got, that's quite quick. It sounds quick, but maybe I don't really appreciate it enough. So let's compare it to a car. So how can we change from from feet per second to miles per hour? Anyone got an idea? Well, I tell you what, shall we write as a ratio first? Yeah. So what can we write? So we're going to do, it's 21 feet in 1 second. So there's my ratio, but I want miles and hours. So we're going to do a two-step process, but we're going to still use our ratio method. So anyone want to start us off? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to suggest that we start off by talking about the hour. So we're going to go for how many feet are you going to run in 1 hour. So how can I do that? What do we do, guys? Do we? I want to go from 1 second to an hour. So how many seconds will make an hour? Okay, so do we divide or do we multiply? Multiply. So let's multiply by 60. So that would give me 1 hour. Is it 60? Okay, so it's not 60, is it? We actually can go another step in between and say, right, sorry, my computer's going slow. We haven't got too much longer. So let's go to 1 second. We have to go to 1 minute first. So then we have to multiply by 60. How do I get from minute to hour? Multiply by 60 again, yeah? Okay. So we're going to have to do the same on this side. Multiply by 60, multiply by 60. So we get an answer here and then we get an answer here. So can you tell me, please, guys, can you all do this on your calculators? Can you tell me how many feet we traveled in 1 hour? So we're going to go 21 times 60 gives me this answer. Oh, sorry, multiply by 60 and multiply by 60 again. And that will tell me how many feet he traveled in 1 hour. Can you do that now? 75,600. Can we confirm that? What did you get? And then we have to do it again. I think he's right. Okay, so we've got another thing of 75,600 feet in 1 hour. Now we have to convert that into miles. So we've got our 1 hour, so we don't need to change this, but we do need to convert from feet into miles. So how are we going to do that, guys? Two ways we've done before. One was to use the conversion on our sheet. The other one was to use a converter where? On your laptops. Now, guys, that's the final thing you're going to do. This Zoom is going to run out pretty quickly, right? So I'm going to ask you just now, before the maths lesson finishes, I want you to send me an email with how many miles he did per hour, and that's his speed. And we'll see whether Alistair's was right. And then what I'm going to do is for tomorrow's lesson, I'm going to give